We are very proud to present our second world strings instrument, the oud, an artistic collaboration between Associate Professor Kim Cunio and Evolution Series. Deeply sampling world instruments has always been our passion, and we were over the moon when Kim agreed to be involved with us in virtualizing his instrument. So without further ado, let's dive in and have a play. So I'm just playing very basically here, so I'm not a virtuoso keyboard player, but it's really organic and warm and natural to play this instrument. It's a lot of fun. So what we've done here is we've provided normal hammer-on pull-off, so for the more traditional type, so legato type of technique. So you've got the... Obviously, if you don't want that transition, you can just do the... We've provided that. We've also got Portamento Sliding, which is great. It's quite a popular technique for the oud. So we can, we've got two different speeds of Portamento. We have the fast speed, which I'll play. So you get that nice fretboard squeak, which adds a degree of realism, I find. And then we have the slow Portamento. So we've set this up in such a way that if you do choose, say, fast Portamento or slow Portamento, and then you have a faster playing style, will automatically jump back to the hammer-on pull-off, so the legato, because naturally you wouldn't really use Portamento for a faster playing style. So it's kind of, we really wanted this instrument to be as natural to play and you know, fun straight out of the box. Now, another important technique that we captured, which is also very popular for this instrument, is vibrato. So let's have a little look at that. I'll put it on fast Portamento because I like those squeaks. Yeah, it's really quite beautiful, actually. Ultimately, we've really captured a lot of detail here through the non-vibrato and vibrato, all with the normal hammer-on pull-off, fast and slow Portamento techniques. You can craft a realistic, beautiful performance. Other techniques that we captured were harmonics. It's quite lovely. Normally, it's not a common technique to hear from an oud, but it really came out amazingly well. Lovely technique, that one. And one of the big techniques for, I mean, a lot of these types of instruments, but the oud is the tremolo. This was a bit of a different approach because quite often people will, you know, when sampling these types of instruments, you'll just record an actual performance and just loop it, and then you can play it out. And look, that's great. I mean, I've done that before too for our instruments, and it is a effective way of capturing that. But this time round, it was more of an experiment. We wanted to see how much level of detail, performance-wise, we could provide and still have it sound great. So one of the things we wanted to provide was the ability to play a slow tremolo all the way up to a fast tremolo without it kind of switching between different recordings of speeds. So you can have a beautiful, smooth speed increment. We did a lot of experimenting in the recording process and came up with an interesting solution. I mean, I don't want to bore you with all the tech side of things, but we're really happy with how it came through. So I'll just have a bit of a play. And as you can see here, we've got a speed knob and also a humanized knob. So you can make the tremolo a little bit more robotic if you wish, or a little bit more lazy. I kind of prefer it to be a bit more humanized, so it sounds a little bit more natural in that regards. I'll just play it at the one speed first, then we'll have a bit of a look. So it already sounds nice and natural. So let's have a little look if we move the speed knob and make it go a little bit slower. So you can imagine that when crafting a performance, by adding a bit of a wave of speed movement to it, feels way more realistic too than stuck on the one speed, if that makes any sense. Because normally a musician, when playing, the speed would fluctuate a little bit, kind of maybe creep up from a little bit slower to faster, then back down again. And I think it's a great way of adding a bit of liveliness to your virtual performance. In a nutshell, this is the instrument. In addition, we recorded some body hits, so let's check them out. Yeah, so they were just like a little bonus, sort of extra interest there. So here we've got the Strum and Arpeggiator. So this is a bit more of like a bonus feature. It's quite nice just for a bit of fun. So we turn it on, and then you can play around and have arps. So it's just a little bit of interest there, whoever wants to play around with that. And we've got the velocity curve, so that's useful for tuning the feel of the instrument with your keyboard. On to the mixer. So one thing that we've always taken pride in doing is recording in beautiful spaces, such as a scoring stage, because we really love to use room mics. Using artificial reverbs are great, and they have a lot of benefit, but it's pretty hard, at least in my view, it's pretty hard to beat the sound of real room mics. Because you kind of, if you don't have that, you lose that depth of field, which is very hard to reproduce artificially. But that said, there are many occasions where you might just need a close sound of an instrument. You don't want to be fighting with all that recorded room sound. And that's always been important for us, is to provide the best of both worlds. So let's have a little look. If we mute out all these room mics and just focus just on the close mic. We've got a little bit of artificial reverb here, so what I might do is I'm going to bring that down. So we're just straight close mic here. So it's really quite a lovely close mic sound. It's not affected by the sound of a big room. So it's great. So you can kind of go from close and intimate and then make it as roomy or as large as you wish. So let's start. Let's just add the overheads to it. So it's already added that kind of extra level of depth, but say you still want it to be a bit close, so let's bring that down a little bit. So that I was actually playing slow portamento there, so I brought it back to normal legato or hammer-on pull-off. You can still have a nice close sound, but with a bit of the room element blended in there nicely. But obviously if you're wanting to do more of a scoring stage sound, then you can bring the mics back and add a little bit of extra artificial verb there just for good measure. Okay, so another option we've provided is a mix down mode, which will provide a mix of the close and overhead in the room and far, and that will also reduce memory usage. We have a virtual mixer. We click on that little icon, and this is a bit of a fun way of playing around with mic placement. So let's say at the moment it's in the center, so it's kind of a neutral balance of the mic, but if we move this icon around, so it's kind of another way of experimenting with the mics. And here we've got our memory management page. We went a little bit crazy with the tremolo, up to 20 round robin with this one. That was a little bit nuts. Sustains, we have up to 5, harmonic 5, legato or hammer-on pull-off, we've got 4, round robin, the portamentos 2, and then body hits and strums, we've got up to 10. Now, on the next page, we have micro-tuning. This page is quite important. We really wanted to give you the ability to tune individual notes subtly to provide a more true or realistic performance like you would get in a traditional Middle Eastern piece of music. Obviously, a lot of regions of the world have their own way of tuning and scales. So we wanted to obviously provide this ability. So as an example, let's load up a tuning variation here. So as you can see, the tuning for each of the individual notes of the oud are changed very subtly. One's a little bit sharp, one's a bit flat, and as you can see, it goes up the scale. So to be able to offer that feature is very cool, and it really makes a big difference if you're trying to craft a traditional or authentic performance. Now obviously this may not be useful for all situations, but to have that feature is great. So I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of World Strings Oud. This instrument was a dream project. We're very excited to finally get it out into the world, and we hope you have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for tuning in. For more information, please head to www.evolutionseries.com.